State of emergency declared in California and Nevada. Floods spur huge economic effects for 34 counties. And I have the lists. And don't go to the bank, folks. Do this instead, because even Mr. Beast knows that by doing this, you are wasting your time. 5 ways to get your money out right now, and get out now. Banking panic has triggered a massive machine, AI trading bots, and dumping stocks faster than you can say FDIC. All these rich and wealthy investors and depositors are being blindsided by a huge bombshell that has just dropped. Millions, if not billions, will be lost. That's billions with a B. And I can't believe it. Meet Kevin, the Fed just bailed out banks, massive flip, while Brad Garlinghouse, CEO of Ripple, is setting the record straight on Twitter, where he posted, Ripple had some exposure to SVB, Silicon Valley Bank. It was a banking partner and held some of our cash. And if banks like SVB can go bust in one day, any exchange or financial scheme in the crypto space can go bust even faster. This is crazy. And it all began with an absurd idea and creative logic behind transitory inflation and hiked interest rates, which led to a resilient banking collapse, systemic risk, and possibly crypto-fueled liquidity risks, and the FDIC, the Federal Reserve, and Treasury writing checks that all us American taxpayers will have to cash. Biden said that he would hold these people accountable, but I don't know if I buy it. Do you? Here, take a look at this breaking press release from just a few minutes ago.
Before I leave for California, I want to briefly speak about what's happening in Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank. Today, thanks to the quick action of my administration over the past few days, Americans can have confidence that the banking system is safe. Your deposits will be there when you need them. Small businesses across the country, the deposit accounts at these banks can breathe easier knowing they'll be able to pay their workers and pay their bills. And their hardworking employees can breathe easier as well. Last week, when we learned of the problems of the banks and the impact they could have on jobs of small businesses and banking system overall, I instructed my team to act quickly to protect these interests. They've done that. On Friday, the government regulator in charge, the FDIC, took control of Silicon Valley Bank's assets. And over the weekend, it took control of Signature Bank's assets. Treasury Secretary Yellen and a team of banking regulators have taken action, immediate action. And here are the highlights. First, all customers who had deposits in these banks can rest assured they'll be protected and they'll have access to their money as of today. That includes small businesses across the country that bank there and need to make payroll, pay their bills, and stay open for business. No losses will be, and this is an important point, no losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Let me repeat that. No losses will be borne by the taxpayers. Instead, the money will come from the fees that banks pay into the Deposit Insurance Fund. Because of the actions that our regulators have already taken, every American should feel confident that their deposits will be there if and when they need them. Second, the management of these banks will be fired. If the bank is taken over by FDIC, the people running the bank should not work there anymore. Third, investors in the banks will not be protected. They knowingly took a risk, and when the risk didn't pay off, investors lose their money. That's how capitalism works. And fourth, there are important questions of how these banks got into the circumstance in the first place. We must get the full accounting of what happened and why those responsible can be held accountable. In my administration, no one is above the law. And finally, we must reduce the risk of this happening again. During the Obama-Biden administration, we put in place tough requirements on banks like Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank, including the Dodd-Frank law to make sure that the crisis we saw in 2008 would not happen again. Unfortunately, the last administration rolled back some of these requirements. I'm going to ask Congress and the banking regulators to strengthen the rules for banks to make it less likely this kind of bank failure would happen again, and to protect American jobs and small businesses. Look, the bottom line is this. Americans can rest assured that our banking system is safe. Your deposits are safe. Let me also assure you, we will not stop at this. We'll do whatever is needed. On top of all of it, let's also take a look at a moment to put the situation in a broader context. We've made strong economic progress in the past 2 years. We've created more than 12 million new jobs, more jobs in 2 years than any president has ever created in a single 4-year term. Unemployment is below 4% for 14 straight months. Take-home pay for workers is going up, especially for lower and middle-income workers. And we've seen record numbers of people apply to start new businesses, more than 10 million of them, more than 10 million applications over the last 2 years starting businesses. Now we need to keep this progress going. That's what swift action that my administration over the past few years is all about. Protecting depositors, protecting the banking system, protecting the economic gains we've made together for the American people. Thank you, God bless you, and may God protect our troops. See you in California.
Mr. President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President?
And Business Insider reports a married couple who both worked for Silicon Valley Bank said they're grieving the loss after its collapse. And Fortune headline reads, after Silicon Valley Bank failure, there's going to be more, warns former FDIC chair William Isaac. And he said, and I quote, "There's no doubt in my mind, seems to me to be a lot like the 1980s, end quote. And he's absolutely right, because regulators closed crypto-funded Signature Bank, citing systemic risk, which are having impacts on not only U.S. tech startups, American taxpayers, and small businesses like Etsy sellers not being able to get paid, but also Japan, Asian markets, New Zealand, and this systemic risk is stretching across the pond and going international almost instantaneously. U.S. bank shutdown expected to affect New Zealand's share market. Banking experts say Kiwi's deposits would not be protected if New Zealand Bank was to collapse. As the Wall Street Journal reports, First Republic hit by Silicon Valley Bank failure, and investors have grown weary of First Republic Bank for reasons similar to those that caused concern at SVB, or Silicon Valley Bank. I honestly can't say it enough about how happy I am that I feel protected in diversifying my assets and my portfolio by holding hard assets and precious metals like gold at a time like this. 100% free links in the description for anyone and everyone interested in some of the ways I allow myself to sleep better at night, knowing that I've made the right decisions for me and my family to protect us against any and everything that may come our way. Because to be 100% honest with you, you just never know what they're going to throw at you next. And be sure to click the link in the description down below to the Ledger Nano X cold storage crypto wallet. That is worth its weight in gold, figuratively speaking. But I feel much better knowing my keys are safe and secure, cold and off the exchange. My BTC, my XRP, Ripple, Bitcoin, USDC, ETH, Ethereum, and altcoins and tokens are not going to get wiped out sitting on an exchange like these banks are preparing to do with this threat and fear of the U.S. Treasury trying to contain widespread systemic risk and contagion. If you're here for the banking, money, finance, investing, and wealth building news, updates, information, and becoming better prepared, then by all means, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And welcome back. And thank you all for your continued support. To returning viewers, today is Monday, March 13, 2023, and today may be a day that goes down in the history books. Well, at least online and in the cloud somewhere, because the failure of Silicon Valley Bank SVB or SIVB on Friday has many fearing a domino effect, despite assurances from Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who on Sunday told Face the Nation that the American banking system is really safe and well capitalized. It's resilient, she says. And among those, nevertheless, expecting more banks to fail, notably is William Isaac, a former chair of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which has been appointed the receiver of Silicon Valley Bank. So Isaac led the FDIC in the early 1980s amid widespread bank failures and high interest rates. And in a Politico issue published on Sunday, he said of the SVB failure, "There's no doubt in my mind there's going to be more. How many more? I don't know. How big? I don't know. Seems to be a lot like the 1980s. What do you guys think? Drop a comment down below. And apparently, he's not the only one. Larry McDonald, founder of the Bear Traps Report, also warned on CNBC that regional banks could face a contagion risk following the SVB collapse. After several regional bank stocks were halted Friday after steep declines in early trading. Among them was First Republic Bank, a San Francisco lender catering to ventures and wealthy tech industry clients. And the bank said in a regulatory filing it had a well-diversified deposit base and capital levels significantly higher than the regulatory requirements for being considered well capitalized. So former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers, for this part, does not foresee a contagion hitting the banking sector, which is good news at least. And he told Bloomberg, I don't think this is likely to be a broadly systemic problem, though he did warn of severe consequences if tech startups can't make payroll due to funds in SVB being frozen. And Mark Cuban issued a similar warning. And as we all know, Etsy warns sellers of delays in processing payments due to Silicon Valley Bank collapse, affecting a lot of people. Now, William Chittenden, who teaches finance at Texas State University, recently wrote for The Conversation, said, there is little risk that SVB's failure will spill over to other banks, and that most banks currently have enough capital to absorb these losses, however large, in part because of efforts taken by the Fed after the 2008 financial crisis to ensure financial firms can weather any storm. Well, I sure hope he's right. And he added, similar to Yellen, that the banking system is sound. Well, that may be true as long as the Federal Reserve and FDIC continue to prop up and bail out, even though they are saying this is not a bank bailout. I guess it's kind of like Biden's Inflation Reduction Act that didn't actually reduce inflation. Nevertheless, on Saturday, the FDIC asked officials at small and mid-sized lenders, including First Republic Bank, about their financial situations, according to a Bloomberg report. They also reportedly discussed setting up a new special vehicle to reassure depositors and help contain any panic. However, that would be a short-lived possibility, as late last night, Signature Bank takeover could leave crypto companies scrambling for financial services. Maybe Clayton Morris is right, and the banks are collapsing as the money starts disappearing. Maybe the biggest financial worry is not tied to the banks, but instead we should be worried about civil and domestic disputes, as Delaware man loses $125,000 property to squatter neighbor after trying to remove goat pens she built on it. I mean, you really can't even make this stuff up anymore, folks. But on a serious note, there is a deadly emergency that is affecting millions of people financially, but the greatest concern is for the safety of the people and the lives of all those affected by dangerous flooding in the West. California and Nevada have declared a state of emergency after floods affect more than 34 counties, and the floods, which are being caused by unrelenting rains, which has turned towns into rivers, have caused 11 million Americans to be put on flood alerts. The estimated cost to roads, infrastructure, and businesses has risen to a whopping $5 billion due to power outages, roadslides, and damaged infrastructure. And some communities have been forced to evacuate. And so far, 2 deaths have been reported due to flooding. Here, take a look at this clip.
Higher elevations facing even more snow and dangerous winds. This section of Highway 1 in Big Sur forced to shut down after a catastrophic landslide caused severe damage. Another storm system wreaking havoc in parts of the Great Lakes into the Northeast, causing hazardous road conditions in Erie, Pennsylvania.
Dangerous and deadly storms moving in Tuesday morning. More rain, snow, possible tornadoes. I really hope everyone is preparing for this and comes out okay. I mean, it's crazy to see this all and watch the roads give way from the rock slide on Highway 1 in Big Sur. I mean, my family and I were driving along that highway last summer when we spent 2 months living full-time in our van. This is very powerful stuff, folks, and unbelievable timing as these catastrophes just add up one on top of another. unrelenting. Folks, stay tuned and make sure you have alerts and notifications on so you don't miss breaking alerts and new updates. I'm going to follow up on recent reports of hedge funds offering to buy startup deposits stuck at Silicon Valley Bank, Semaphore, as well as provide you with more information and getting deeper into this all, uncovering the truth, and most importantly, the facts that will be most vital in our survival and overall preparedness. Don't forget to check the free links in the description down below. I'm willing to bet we are going to see some volatility in the markets today and potentially for the next few days or even weeks. And personally, I'm going to continue to exercise my three main pillars of diversity, security, and cash flow. This way, I can make sure I'm doing my best to stay prepared. My physical gold position and up percentages of hard assets with Hard Asset Alliance and buying physical gold and protecting my keys with cold storage are going to be of utmost importance. You all be safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you guys real soon. Take care. Bye.